Okay, so the session has been recorded now. So guys, welcome. So the agenda for today's discussion is to understand what do we mean by high availability here. Okay, so when we say high availability, what do we exactly mean by that? So we'll understand that first, right? And then we'll understand different services that AWS has to offer on that part. So one of the services that we understand we'll go over today is the load balancer. We may not be able to do the hands-on today, but we'll have a better understanding how we do and things like that. We'll talk about auto scaling group, okay, ASG. So what is ASG? And when we say auto scaling group, what we exactly mean by that, we'll talk about that. Okay. So guys, I would like to, so this is the agenda for the discussion. Okay. Just before getting started, may I just know from any one of you, what is your understanding of high availability? Or is it the first time you're getting to hearing this word, high availability, HA? Or what is your understanding of HA? Anyone would like to just comment on that part? Anyone, please unmute yourself and we can talk about it. Okay. Sukumar is saying low outages. Okay, that's fine. Yeah. Girish is saying 24/7 into 365.
Depends on the number of nines, Roshan.
99 point. Yeah, that's how that's how we measure a high availability. That's right. But when we say high availability, what we actually mean is the ability of the system. Okay, the ability of a system to function despite the complete failure of any component of the architecture. This is what we mean high availability. That if I know it is for sure that outages will happen. Okay, it is for sure. Take it my word. How much ever reliable or how much ever infrastructure you have put, outages will happen. There would be servers going down here and there. For could be any region, could be application is region or application run out of memory or thread contention issues or anything like some kind of maintenance part, right? There could be any n number of regions, and take my word that outages are supposed to happen and it will happen. So the idea is that the outages are supposed to happen, that's fine, but is my system continue to function? High availability is the ability of the system to function despite the complete failure of any component of the architecture. That's what we mean by high availability, right? So one of the so that's the definition of high availability, right? We call of HA. We talk about that. We simply use this word HA, and we just one of the popular term that we use is HA, right? But how can we achieve that HA, right? So if you look at the AWS architecture, right, AWS global footprint, let's say I'm just talking about one of the cloud service provider, I'm taking just AWS as the example. Same thing would go for Azure or GCP or any other cloud service providers. Okay, so let's just understand the AWS global infrastructure, how it is located, right? So we have concepts of region, right? So we have multiple regions across the globe. If you look at the AWS, they have around 26 launch regions, right? And each of these regions have got multiple availability zones. Okay, AZs we call it. Like AZs are nothing but a data centers. So one region, let's say Mumbai, right? If you are in Mumbai, so Mumbai is also one of the AWS region, and in Mumbai they have 3 availability zones. Why do they have 3 availability zone in Mumbai itself? Right, so that is a quite true. And why do they have multiple availability zone in one region? That's very important to understand. Look, it is the high availability, the importance of high availability is very much like transparent, like it's very much visible why they have multiple ages in one region itself, right? And that itself tells us that how can we achieve high availability, right? If you just take about this particular example, let's say Mumbai. Okay, so let's take Mumbai. I know that Mumbai has got 3 availability zones. Let's say I have this is AZ1, this is AZ2 and AZ3, 3 data centers. Okay, we call it AZs basically, availability zone in AWS term we call it. I'm just talking about one Mumbai region. Okay, I'm just talking about, let's take this example as a Mumbai region. Let's talk about that. Mumbai region. And we have three availability zone here. AZ1, we call it AZ2, we have AZ3. Okay, three availability zones. Can anyone help me understand why do they have three availability zones? What is the importance of three availability zones? Why can't they manage with only one?
Sure, the data is not lost at any cost because of any environmental or any other issues. And also the data speed rate is very high, so that we will not feel that from which region we are trying to retrieve the data. So it's trying to make sure that the data is maintained in all these three availability zones, and when any availability zone is gone, still the other two will be available, so that customer is not impacted.
Yeah, that's about right. So the data, it's not about just the data, right? It's about the workload, the servers. So the idea, so data would come definitely. Data is an important point for part, and we don't want to lose our data. That's absolutely right. But running the workload, right? Let's talk about the web server and the application server here, right? Let's talk about these two things first, right? If I just talk about these two aspects itself, running the workload, let's say web server and app server. So the idea is that you can have only one app server. Let's say I can just have only one app server here. I can just have it only one app server. Right, that's fine. Only one app server, one web server, one database server. I can in one AG, I can have that, right? One
Yeah,
web server, one app server, one DB server. But am I high available? Do you think that
not be
if I
available highly. Yeah,
yes?
that sorry to interrupt you. I mean, sorry, go ahead.
Right. Yeah. See, yeah, thank you, Sukumar. Yeah, definitely, guys, you can unmute yourself. Yeah, sure. Okay. See, now if I have only one server, let's say one web server, one app server, and one database server in one AC, do you think I'm being highly available? What did I define high availability? The definition is this, right? I'm going to just repeat the definition here and just think this through. And I want most everyone to use the chat option, right? I'm looking at the chat option. You can use this and you can pass your inputs. And whenever you need to, definitely unmute, please unmute yourself. See, the definition of high availability is what I told you: ability of the system to function, keep on functioning, to function, right? Despite the complete failure of any component of the architecture. Right? This is what I told you, right? The definition part. Now tell me one thing. If I have only one web server, one app server, and one database server, just take this example. Only one, right? Do you think I'll be highly available in that case? Yes or no? You can just pass your comment on the chat. Just I would like to understand what's your thought process, right? No, right? I'm not. I cannot be the ability of the system to function despite the complete failure of any component of the failure. No, I'm not going to be highly available, right? I will, I will just the application going to be down because web server. I have only one web server instance. If one server goes down, application would be down, and I will not be highly available at any cost, right? So, what is the idea? How should we go about it? Like that's the question, right? The architecture point of view, right? Think from an architecture point of view, how should we go about it, right? So the way we go about is like one of the golden rule that we have, uh, provision multiple instances of one component. Let's say I am talking about one here, I'm talking about web server. Let's say I'm having a three-tier application. Okay? Let's say I'm just talking about three-tier application. Okay, let's say I'm talking about web server, app server, and I have, let's say, DB server. DR instance, Sam, it's not like we'll talk about DR is a different thing. DR, when we talk about across the region, right? between two regions, we talk about DR. But when we talk of high availability, we try to stick to a region, and we try to make sure that within one region we are highly available. Then when the entire region goes for a toss, then we talk of DR, right? So that should be the thought process of a DR. Right? We do not just go directly jump and we'll do a DR, right? First, we need to make sure that within one region itself, right, we are highly available. Sam, I hope it makes sense, right?
Yes, thanks.
Right. See, so let's say I have a three-tier application. Okay, let's say I have web server, one app server, one DB server. Okay, let's just have this. I have these three configuration. So the idea is to have multiple instances of each of the component in each of the AZs. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna have. Tell me once. Just think this through and answer. Should I have one web server or two web server in AZ1? I'm talking about instances, the number of servers, minimum two, right? It is quite visible because even if I lose one, there could be a situation that even if I lose one, right, I will have another web server. Let's say I'm going to denote my web server with, let's say, green color. Okay, so I'm going to have two web servers. Okay, at least two web servers I'm going to have it. Let's say that, so that even if I lose one of the web servers, I have another web server to serve my request. So similarly, I will have, so let's say if what we say, the ability of the system to function despite the complete failure. Let's say if one of the node, so I will have two nodes of the web server here. Two nodes mean two servers I'm talking about, the VMs I'm talking about, virtual machine. I request everyone to be on mute. If you have something important, please, you can unmute yourself, but most of the time, please be on mute. Okay. So I'm going to have two nodes of the web server, two nodes of the app server, and mostly I'm going to have multiple instances of the database server as well. One could act as the primary and one could act as the standby database. And I will have data getting replicated synchronously. We'll have that kind of a setup. That data, someone was mentioning data is also important. So we can have that kind of situation as well, right? So let's say web servers, multiple instances of the web server. Let's say I'm just doing my W here. Multiple instances of my app servers as well, right? Within one AZ itself, I'm going to have it. App servers. Let's say I'm just talking about this A. I'm going to have multiple instances of my database server as well. Let's talk database as well. So in this way, I made sure that my node is redundant, right? I made sure that, right? Even if I lose one of the nodes, it's very unlikely that I'm gonna just lose both the nodes at one time of any particular component, be it web server, app server, database. It's most unlikely. It's not going to happen, right? It will only happen when the entire AGS goes down. If an entire AGS goes for a toss, then only that could be a scenario that I will lose the application availability, right? Guys, do you agree this kind of a setup is a better approach within one AZ? If you're trying to set it up, have multiple instances of each of the component, and this way we'll be highly available. Better. I'm not saying we are going to be 99.99. We have a measure of high availability depending on how many nines we have. Uh, uh, if we have 11 nines, it means 10 minutes downtime in 10 years. It's one. We have one measure. Okay. Let me just talk about it. High availability measure. If I just talk about it, we have measure in terms of 9. Like if you talk about it, right, we have in terms of 9 we capture, right? 5 nines. Look at this here. If you look at how many nines, someone was telling how many nines we have, right? 99.999. How many nines we have, it will define how many for how long I'll be highly available. See, these are different measures. This is called 3 nines, 4 nines, 5 nines, right? 6 nines, right? And they are nines, right? And we talk about, let's say if it's 99% availability, So in an year, you can expect 87 hours, 40 minutes downtime. If a company is committing that I'm going to be 99% available, basically they are telling that they are going to be 87 hours, 40-minute downtime. You can expect. So now it's up to you to talk to the vendor from where you are talking about negotiating about this availability part, how much high availability. If there's someone talking about 99.9999669 here, this means 31.67 downtime. That's all, right? There are companies who offers 99.119 and all. There are AWS services. There are lot many cloud services which offers 11 nines high availability, right? Those kind of things are there, right? So you can just want to have a read about it, okay, and you understand what do we mean by nines here, how to measure high availability uptime, right? Okay, so that's about, so by this architecture, I'm gonna be obviously better. I'm gonna be from one single instance of each of the component with two instances for each of the component. Obviously, my availability is gonna be better. Yes or no, guys? Do you guys agree with me here on this part till this point of time? Yes? Yes, I do see responses from Viswar, Sukumar, right? Others not able to follow? Surain, SB. Okay, that's good. So now we understood that within one AZ, I need to have multiple instances for each of the component. Now the next question: what if the one AZ goes down? What if one AZ goes down complete? There could be natural disaster, calamity, natural calamity, earthquake, flood, because it's just a data center, right? It's just a data center. I hope you guys understand how a data center would look, right? If you want me to show that a data center, how it looks like, consider a building.
It contains some set of systems in particular area, and if that area is impacted by any environment issues,
Right, data center. I'm
definitely
just
it will go
talking
down.
exactly.
Yeah.
So data centers consider a multi-story building and consider all the rooms, all the 100 rooms in that multi-story building full of servers. That's what a data center would look like. Okay, this is how it looks like. All the servers tightly, you can just all wired up. That's a data center, right? If a national flood came in, right, no, nothing can happen, right? That's why we have the concept of multi-AZ per region, right? That's why AWS has multiple availability zones within for a region itself. But they also understand if they want to commit high availability like 99.59 or 6 nines, they have to consider the aspect of high, the earthquake or natural calamity, right? They cannot just put that an excuse. I don't know, earthquake happened, flood came, and we cannot maintain the same SLA now. They cannot comment like this. So what they have, that's why they have multi AZs. In Mumbai region itself, they have 3 availability zones, 3 data centers located far from each other, around 200 kilometers or 150 miles apart. These AZs, right? They are distance apart, so that even if the flood or natural calamity happen in one of the AZs, the other AZ is not impacted. And to get high availability in that case, I should always go for, again, same thing I'm telling you, multiple instances in one AZ. That's absolutely fine. But I need to also go ahead and do multi-AZ deployment. Now, you guys tell me, yes or no? Do you think multi-AZ deployment is gonna be making my application highly available? Multi-AZ deployment. I'm going multi-AZ. I'm using 2 AZs. Do you guys agree with me on this part? That's how I can achieve better high availability. Yes or no? Yes, that's very important, Girish. Cost is gonna be increasing. That's the trade-off, right? If you are working in a company, right, and if they want high availability, you need to tell them that you need to do a trade-off, boss. You cannot have the high availability with the same cost, right? You have to take care of the trade-off, right? You have to take this call, right? It's not up to you, right? You cannot, without putting extra cost, how can you achieve high availability, right? You have to put extra cost to that, right? So the idea is this, right? Have multiple instances, for each of the component within one AZ, and same thing, have multi-AZ deployment. In this way, I can say that I'm going to be highly available, better than this setup, right? If here 99.9, I can be sure that I can be 99.99 here, better, right? Again, these things can go on, right? These things can go on. Someone can debate. I can have AG3 also. Someone can say that if the entire region goes down, if the entire Mumbai region goes down, people also, there are companies who goes for multi-region deployment also. Multi-region, they're going to deploy in Singapore region or US region. You have AWS has multiple regions. Okay, it depends on the client how much they can afford, right? AWS has 26 launch regions, I just showed you, right? And you can go ahead and select, deploy your architecture, your servers, right? Set up your infrastructure in multiple AZ. Look, if you look at the Mumbai region here, Mumbai is one of the regions, right? You have Singapore, Sydney, Tokyo, you have across the globe, right? If you just look at the global infrastructure, look at this particular infrastructure, this all the green dots here, they have these regions. And look at this availability zones also. For each of the regions, you can see the number of availability zones. In North Virginia, they have 6 availability zones. They are 2006, they have launched. In Sydney, they have 3 availability zones, and they're also coming up with the yellow ones are coming soon. They are launching more availability zone, more regions, right? The yellow ones are coming up. UAE, they're coming up, and Israel, they're coming up. Switzerland, they're coming up. Across the globe, they have it because they are the global. Their presence is global, and across the globe, people uses their infrastructure to provision to run the workload, right? That's how it is done, right? So that those things can go on. High availability from the infrastructure point of view. Obviously, right, you need to also take care of the application issues. You should not be running into application issues, right? There should not be any out of memory issues or thread contention issues with all these web servers or app servers. There should not be. You need to also keep on fixing that. It's not like you can just have more servers and everything going to be highly available. It's not that case, right? Uh, you need to fix the application issues as well. But from the infrastructure point of view, you need to also take care for the high availability. That's important. And now, if you have now the think at this point, now you have multiple instances of each of the component in one AZ, and you have multi-AZ deployment also. So one obvious thing is that all of it will not happen automatically, right? You need some sort of load balancer, correct? Without load balancer, it's not going to work. I hope you understand this part, everyone. Without load balancer, how you have, let's say, 4 servers for the web server. Let's say you have 4 web servers, 4 app servers, you have database servers, right? So without load balancer, how it's possible, right? Because users will hit only one URL, amazon.com. And under the amazon.com, they could be using 100 web servers. But who is redirecting my request to all those 100 servers? It's the load balancer, right? I'm hitting amazon.com, right? Amazon.com is basically a load balancer. You are hitting a load balancer, and load balancer is making sure you have the requests getting redirected, right, to multiple web servers, right? That's how it is being done, right? I hope you guys are clear on this part, everyone. Yes, load balancer is required, no doubt on that part, right? And AWS has a load balancer and auto scaling group. So load balancer is one part, right? And that can distribute the load. That is good for the load distribution. That's one part. That's good. But you also need something called auto scaling group. What if the user load is increasing? Okay, so think from this production point of view. Okay, it's not like that if you have 4 servers and you can relax, right? It's not like that, because in production the number of users may change. Suppose if you are a retail company like Amazon.com or Flipkart.com, where more users come in, right? You don't know about the number of users who can access your application, right? Right? You are not sure on those parts, right? So in that case, we need to set up something called auto scaling group. That's very important. You want automatically the servers to scale up whenever the requirement comes. Let's just put this simple. Okay? Let's say I'm having Flipkart.com. Okay, let's take this example. Or you have something kind of a Flipkart.com, some retail application. Consider some application. Okay, I'm just taking Flipkart is one of the popular applications in India. So I'm just taking this as an example. Let's say Flipkart is experiencing when they looked into the production logs. They are seeing that between 8 a.m. to, let's say, 11 a.m. This is called workload modeling which I'm trying to do here. Between 8 a.m. to 11 a.m., let's say they have 5,000 users. Okay, I'm just taking one number. Okay, it could be more or less. Does not go that way. Hypothetical case I'm talking about. Okay. 5,000 users. 11 a.m. to, let's say, 7 p.m. They have, let's say, 4,000 users accessing the application. Okay, and let's say to support 5,000 users, you need, say, let's say five servers are required. Okay, or let's say not just 5 servers, you need, let's say, 50 servers. 50 servers are required. So what I'm meaning here, one server can support how many? One server can support. If you just calculate that, right? So you can just calculate this way. So 100, right? So you can just keep it that way. And this, to support 4,000 users, you need, let's say, 40 servers. And let's say between 7 p.m. At night time, people are back from office. It's a retail application. I'm just thinking this through, right? Till 11 p.m., I can definitely say there would be more users would be accessing the application, would be, right? In a typical weekdays, I'm trying to guess a workload. It will be different for the weekend. Absolutely fine. I'm just thinking, let's say 10,000 users are accessing the application. And for 10,000 users, I need 100 servers. Okay. And let's say 11 p.m. to next day 8 a.m. right? Let's say some 2,000 users are accessing the application night time, right? Not many people would be accessing the application, right? Considering that 20 servers would be required. Okay, let's keep it this way. So now tell me one thing. I want to ask these questions to everyone, everyone to answer. Now, to support all the entire day workload, how many servers I would require? How many servers do you think Flipkart should have it deployed in production to support their application 24/7? So Kumar is saying 100. How about others? Just take a guess, guys. If the better you participate, the better understanding you will get. Feel free to unmute yourself. You can talk. Definitely, that's absolutely fine.
Maximum instances we need to maintain, and probably if the user load is not that much, we can turn it off so that we are not using the infrastructure, so that we are
turn it off.
Making sure
turn it off. You're gonna turn it off manually, Sukumar.
Manually, based on the
manually. So how would will you be certain? How would you be certain that these many users are there in production and these many servers you would require? How would you do you think this activity manually is gonna scale up? Are you gonna depend some manual person to take this decision? And that if the person does a mistake, you may lose your business.
Yeah, definitely manually it is not possible. Yeah.
So just I'm asking a simple question. How many servers?
Auto scaling.
Right. Someone wants to mention. Sam, you had some question, some inputs.
No, with the 20 servers, we can go with auto scaling for that scenario.
Okay. So you are saying 20 servers I need to have it, right? And then I can go for auto scaling, right?
Yes.
Right. So let's say if auto scaling is not there, okay, let me ask this question. If auto scaling is not there, how many servers Flipkart needs to provision in production?
Okay, 100 in that
100.
sense.
100, right? No doubt about it, right? Auto scaling, we'll talk
Mhm.
about it later. Why do we need auto scaling or not, right? So let's say Flipkart purchased 100 servers, absolutely fine. Or Flipkart is using some, I don't know if they have on-premise or not. So if they have on-premise, they have to purchase 100 servers and they can run the entire day workload, 10,000 users, they can run it, all fine, no problem, right? But if they're using, let's say, cloud, definitely I can say if they have auto scaling enabled, they can save a lot. Look at the 100 hours. For the number of hours you need the 100 servers, only for 4 hours, like peak timing, right? 7 p.m. to 11 p.m. when people are back from office and they're doing more shopping, right? In that only for that duration I may need 100 servers, right? Only for 4 hours. Only for 4 hours I need 100 servers, but for that I have to provision keep on running 100 servers entire day, right? That's not an efficient way of working on it, right? So the next obvious things which can come to our rescue is auto scaling. I want some setup which can help me auto scaling based on some criteria. I don't want a manual person to take a decision and start servers and stop servers. I don't want to do that, right? Manual person. I cannot take this much of risk with such a retail application. If the person does a mistake, I have a 100% chance that I will lose some business and credibility. Right? If people is not able to order, the order getting failed, it's gonna lose a lot of trust and the reputation, and people gonna lose the trust. And when they lose the trust, they definitely it'll impact the business in the long run, right? So obviously, so auto scaling is what come to the rescue. So the load balancer we need because I may need to have more servers. It's not about the 4 server which I have provisioned. I can start with 4 servers here. Let's talk about the web server here. I can start with four servers, but depending on my workload entire day, I may need to provision some more number of servers, right? And for that, if I have the load balancer and auto scaling configured, that would be great, right? That nothing like it, right? If I have the load balancer and auto scaling configured, I can just if there are more users coming in, the servers, I'll get more servers, and load balancer would just start redirecting to all those servers which has come up. So guys, do you think that load balancer and auto scaling group is going to add immensely to the high availability here, right? And even if case of high availability, if I lose one server, that's perfectly fine because I have set some criteria. Look at this very important point, that for the auto scaling to happen, I will set some criteria. It's not like that I will not set up some criteria. Criteria could be performance metrics. I'm going to use like CPU utilization, because I know CPU, if I can measure, I can take this as the metric. I can create auto scaling group. I can create some alarm on this, like this. If a CPU utilization goes above 60%, goes above 60%, CPU utilization, let's say just put this CPU utilization goes above 60%, provision, create, add. I can have this action, add 2 servers or 4 servers. I can have those kind of thing. And if a CPU utilization goes less than 30%, I want to delete or remove 2 servers. But hold on. Do I want to take an immediate decision on 60%, or do I want to wait for some time, watch the metric consistently for 10 minutes, then take a decision? How do you want to do that? Obviously, right, I need to wait. There could be one spike. CPU can have one spike for could be any region. But if I get CPU greater than 60% for, let's say, 10 minutes or 10 continuous minutes, then I would be sure that yes, the CPU contention is there and I need more servers. So I'm going to add servers. if CPU utilization, for the scaling down, right, I can have some 20%, not, let's say, less than, sorry, my bad, CPU utilization less than 20%. If I see for, let's say, for again, for 15 minutes, but for scaling down, I'm going to be not that stringent, right? I can be more relaxed, right? If CPU utilization is less than 20% for 15 minutes, I can remove few servers, right? So in this way, if I have the auto scaling configured, I can definitely save a lot of cost over 1 year or like multiple years, because that's going to be happening automatically. And not just that, and even if the user count increases, let's say for such kind of retail application, right, where I cannot guess the number of users, even if the user count, let's say I'm running a big million sale, right, there could be a possibility that if I'm launching some sale, there could be a scenario that there could be a chance that instead of 10,000 users, 20,000 users or 50,000 users came in, right? And if I have the automatic auto scaling group, I don't need to always test and configure the servers, right? I can have that I can have this enabled. That's all, right? And it can take for any sale, any activity, right? Anything I can sustain. So in that way, I can say I can be highly available. Yes or no, guys? You guys agree with me on this part? Everyone?
Yes, Roshan. Oh, but one question actually.
Sure, go ahead.
So we are conferring, right? For 20% for 15 minutes, 60% for 10 minutes. So out of these two zones, which zone will this be configured? Or for both the zones,
I'm
this
gonna
configuration?
talk about the app server. I'm gonna talk about the web server. I am not bothered how many servers instances I have and how many servers I have in this AG, how many servers I have in this region. When I'm talking about the CPU utilization percentage, I'm considering all the servers, all the web server, all the app servers individually. I can have a rule for the web servers. I can have a rule for the app servers. So collectively, it depends on how collective, not just per AZ wise,
Okay.
collective.
So you are saying it is a accumulation of both the AZs, right?
Correct. That's right.
Okay. Yeah.
All the servers, it could be all AZs across regions. There could be a multi-region also, right? I'm talking considering into everything into account. And for that, you need a setup infrastructure. And for that, AWS provides you that, right? If you just talk about this AWS, we have such a service here. If you go to the EC2 service, EC2 is one of the service that's called Elastic Compute Cloud. If you go to such a service, we have something called load balancer and auto scaling group. You need to configure this up, okay? And that if you configure this up, things gonna be just smooth. I'm gonna just show you. I hope you guys are comfortable with AWS mostly, right? If not, I'm gonna just talk about few things. Just to understand, how many of you guys are comfortable here with AWS? Just for my better understanding, you guys.
Most of the folks have knowledge, but not that into hands-on. So that's
Okay.
what I can.
Okay, that's absolutely fine. Hands-on, no, not required here. Let me just talk about it. Okay, let me do one thing. I'm gonna create some architecture. Okay, I'm gonna show you what I'm gonna do here. Okay, just give me 1 minute. Okay, look at this. What I'm going to do here, I'm going to provision an EC2 instance, multiple EC2 instances, and I'm going to demonstrate how a load balancer would work. Okay, I'm going to make use of concept of, let me just provision an EC2 instance directly. Because for the load balancer to demonstrate, I need to have some servers. Let's say I'm just talking about the web server right now, just to simplify things. I'm going to terminate this guy. I don't need this. It's running for some time. I'm going to just terminate this guy. Okay. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna launch some few servers. Okay, let's say I'm in Mumbai region right now. Okay, you can be in any region, absolutely fine, right? You have multiple regions, 26 launched regions. I just showed you. Let me just show you. I'm just being in the Mumbai region. Free tier only. I can just do that. Let me just provision. Take one operating system. I'm just selected one operating system. T2.micro, 1 VCP, 1 GB RAM. I can have it like it's like CPU configuration. You can have anything, but just to be in the free tier, I'm gonna select this guy here. Okay. And let's say I have one or two servers. Okay, not just one, because I want to show you the load balancer. So let's say I'm gonna have three servers. Let's put three servers. I'm going to create it, and I'm going to create in the Mumbai region itself. And let's say I'm not going to select the availability zone. I want automatically the available, or let's say put 1A. I'm going to select everything in 1A or multiple availability zone. That absolutely can be done. Okay, that's fine. Okay, storage. Let's just put 8 GB here. I'm gonna just I'm gonna add this server name later. Okay, let me just name. Let me put server 1 and 2. I'm going to put it later. Configure the security group. Let me put a new security group. One important thing I wanted to do before I missed, I'm going to use one user data here, and this is a user data profile. If I want to install something when the EC2 instance coming up, I can write some shell script here, and that shell script, what it do, that shell script, whatever I want to do, that would get run when the EC2 instance is getting provisioned, right? That can happen. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to just use this as the, let me just show you the shell script which I'm going to run here. It's one of the simple shell script. I'm going to just install the web server, nothing else. Okay, because I'm going to talk about the web server here. So I'm going to just use this. Okay, I'm going to just run this particular shell script. This particular shell script, what this guy do, this is going to update the operating system, install the web server, start the web server, enable the web server, so that for the next reboot I don't need to start it again, right? And it is going to print some message on the web server when I will launch the home page, right? Index.html file, it's going to print something like hello world from this hostname. Hostname -f will give you the private IP. It's just going to print something. Okay, and I'm putting this information on this index.html file. So this is what I'm gonna run with this EC2 instance, and it will install the web server when the EC2 instance is getting provisioned. Okay, that's all. Add storage, add tags, put the server name. I'm going to put it confirm security group. Let me just create a new security group. Let's put SG load balancer, but this is for EC2 instance. What I want here for the EC2 instance, definitely port 22. I do want to get that, and since this web server, I want to also use port 80 HTTP. I need to enable it, right? If someone is like new to this, right, you may feel it overwhelming, but it is not something. Uh, it is one of the basics thing that if you're into AWS, you would do that, right? Since I'm going to install a web server, uh, you need port 80 to be open, because the web server runs on port 80, and if you want external users to access this port, access the web server, that port 8080 has to open. But you see where the web server is gonna install, and this means all the IPs can access this. Everyone can access this, right? That's all I'm doing here, nothing else. So I'm going to launch this EC2 instance. Okay, I'm going to create a new key pair. Let's create a new key pair. I can just create workshop HA. I'm going to just put this HA workshop high availability. I'm going to just put this. I can now load this key pair, and I can just launch this EC2 instance. Okay, that's all. Okay, so let this EC2 instance come up, and meanwhile, what I'm going to do, I'm going to create some the load balancer. Okay, let's go and talk about the load balancer. Okay, so for the load, before the load balancer, See, the load balancer, always remember one thing. Load balancer redirects your request, forwards your request to a set of servers, right? It's not one server. It's a set of servers. That set of servers which is called target group. What I'm trying to do here, okay, let me just rephrase it to make it simple for you. I'm gonna create a target group. Let me just delete this point. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to create a target group. Okay, in this target group, I'm creating 3 servers, right? Web server 1, web server 2, web server 3, and automatic scaling would happen, and I would get many more web servers. That's absolutely fine. But for now, I have three web servers. I'm gonna put these 3 web servers in a target group. That's what I'm gonna do here right now. And when I will create the load balancer, I would mention that please redirect my request to this target group, which will have 3 servers. So I'm going to do the load balancing like this. This is how the load balancing works, right? I'm going to create a load balancer. Like this is what I'm going to do. This is a load balancer. And this load balancer would redirect your request to this target group. This is what happens. The load balancer would redirect your request to this target group. I'm going to configure my load balancer. And in this target group, I have many servers, right? Web server 1 I have web server 2, I have web server 3. I can have many more web servers, but this is what I'm trying to set up right now. So let's create a target group, add these 3 servers, and let's create a load balancer and redirect your request to this target group. Guys, are we clear on this next steps, or what we're going to do? Yes? Simple.
Yeah.
Right. So let's do that. Okay. I'm going to just go to my target groups.
It's kind of grouping multiple instances of a web or app or any server into
exactly.
one public.
One target, one target. Because this is how because the load balancer you cannot mention redirect your request to this server, redirect your request to this server. Because the server's number can increase. So you need to kind of some sort of group the servers, and then you can mention that load balancer to redirect your request to this server, to this group, and that group will have many number of servers. Something like that. Okay. So this is the target group. I'm trying to create a target group for the instances, right? That's absolutely fine. I can group a target group name as TG demo. TG demo. And I know that let's have this protocol 80, because I know it's gonna be web server I'm dealing with, so I definitely need port 80, right? And that's the VPC. That's fine, right? And click on next here. And look at this, what they're telling. They're asking me to add the servers. Like I want to add all the 3 servers which I've created. Sometime back, I created 3 servers. I'm going to add all the 3 servers in this target group, right? Pending include as pending below. I'm just added these 3 servers. Look at this, all 3 servers have create target group. That's all. Very simple. Create a target group. I've created a target group, and I want to show you something. I have created the 3 EC2 instances, right? Let's see this. I have created the web server, correct? How can I confirm that whatever user data I gave, right? I was trying to install a web server, right? Let's call this server 1. Let's call this server 2. Let's call this server 3. Okay. Let's call it this way. Server 3. Okay. And I have installed a web server in all the 3 servers, right? Let's confirm. How to confirm? I can use the public IP of the server 1, right? Let's go to the public IP and port 80, right, where it runs. If I hit enter, is it the same message I was trying to print? Yes. Can you guys confirm on this?
Yeah.
It is the same message I was trying to print. Look at this message. Hello world from hostname-f. Hostname-f would give you the private IP of that particular server. And for this particular server, this is the private IP, and I'm seeing this, right? If I go to other server, right? If I just go to server 2 here, and if I do the same thing, this is the private IP. Look at this 172.31.47.9. You will get it next 9. If I do this port 80, look at this, what you're getting. 172.31.47.9, and here it is different, 40.40.46, here 47.9. And if I do this with the same with the third server, I would get a different IP. So this way I have created the web server, I've provisioned the EC2 instance, and also using the user data I have installed web server on the fly, right? When the EC2 instance is getting provisioned, I have created a web server also, installed the web server, and I was able to print whatever the message. Look at this, all the web servers are different. The UI is different. For one 40.46, for other 47.9, for other for this is, I'm using that same thing, I think. Let me select the third guy, 228. Yeah. Oh, this is different. 34, 164, all are different. Web server, there are 3 web servers now. I can definitely confirm that. Let's create a load balancer. Now, I've created a target group already. Let's create a load balancer, and let's see how it happens. Because end of the day, this is server 1, server 2, server 3, but users are going to hit only one URL, right? Amazon.com, Flipkart.com. They are not going to hit Amazon1.com, Amazon2.com, Amazon3.com, right? They don't deal with that way, right? So we need to give only one URL, right? So let's do that. Let's create a load balancer, right? First, okay, let's go to the load balancer, create load balancer. There are multiple types of load balancer here, but we are dealing with application load balancer here, which deals with HTTP and HTTP protocol. This is what we are dealing here. HTTP and HTTP request. If you are dealing with TCP, UDP, TLS protocol, which is on transport layer of OSI TCP IP protocol, so you may want to select network load balancer. But for now, I'm going to select application load balancer. Let's just create this. Okay. AWS guarantees this availability. The best part of using this load balancer that AWS guarantees is availability, because it's a managed service, and AWS guarantees is 99.99% availability. So in that way, you are assured that if you're using this load balancer, which is by AWS, your application is going to be highly available. That's the best part, right? So let me put this load balancer demo. I'll just give a name here, some name. Internet facing, definitely I want, because for the web servers, right? So remember one thing, for the web servers, I definitely need the internet facing. But if it is my app server, I don't need an internet facing, right? So it depends on what do I want. Web server, I'm creating a load balancer for the web server or for the uh, application server. It depends on that, and whether to go for internet facing or internal load balancer, right? That's very important. One of the very important points. So currently, I'm talking about uh, the web server here, right? So I would definitely I would require the internet facing, right? That's very important point to note, right? So let me show you architecture, how an internal load balancer would look like. Let me show you that, then you would understand it better. Let me just do one thing. I'm gonna show you something very interesting. Look at this. Look at this architecture which I'm showing you right now. Look at this architecture here. This is how two types of load balancer would work, right? I have this web server here, and this load balancer here is internet facing load balancer. This is the load balancer where getting the load balance between the application servers, and where I'm using the internal load balancer, right? This kind of setup, and I can have one master setup and one standby database. I can have that. I can have this synchronous or asynchronous communication. We'll talk about it, right? But this is how what I talk about a external load balancer and internal load balancer, right? Yeah. So let me just talk. Let me just talk about internet facing load balancer right now. I'm dealing with IPv4, absolutely fine. And I want, let's say, I want this load balancer to redirect my request across all the edges, right? I want to select all the edges. So I've selected all the edges here, whatever the edges available. Okay? And that's the security group. I can create a security group. So now tell me one thing, the load balancer security group and the EC2 security group obviously has to be different. Okay, they cannot have the same security group. Okay, they cannot have the same security group because the load balancer. See, ideally, one very important point I'd like to tell. When I have the load balancer already configured, do you think that external users need to access your web server separately, or they just, or you are going to just enable them to use the web server through load balancer? How do you think the setup should be? Obviously,
Load balancer.
through the load balancer, right? Through the load balancer. You don't want them to access these servers, right? So yeah, just have this understanding in mind. And I'm gonna create a security group, different security group, okay? Not the same security group. I can use a load balancer, separate security group, okay? Where I am going to restrict the access. Let me just put it demo right now. I'm putting a different security group. Okay, I'll change the security group here. Change the incoming request and outcoming request. It's a different security group. I'm not selecting the same security group right now. Okay, I'll talk about the security group in some time. And yes, port 80 I want. And this load balancer is supposed to redirect my request to target group. So because in that target group, I have all the servers, right? So this is how I configure a load balancer. So this is a target group I have configured. Port 80, I can create another listener also. If I have another listener, I can configure HTTPS also with 443 port for HTTPS connection, right? I can also have that those kind of a thing, right? Create load balancer right now. I'm gonna just create a load balancer, simple, okay? And I'm gonna, let me just let this load balancer come up. Before that, I'm gonna go to the security group which I have set SG demo, right? Let the load balancer come up. And I'm gonna just SG demo. I'm gonna tighten the, obviously, right? I don't want this access, right? I just showed you that web server is installed, but ideally I don't want users to access my server separately. Is everyone understanding this point or just one person? Is everyone with me till this point of time?
Yeah, definitely. We don't want to hit
Yeah,
one particular instance.
I'm asking others. I'm asking others.
Okay.
Guys,
Yes,
are we?
yes.
Yes. Yeah. Perfect. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna go to the security group, SG demo. So I was talking about SG demo. I have given this security group as a load balancer, right? Let's just check this out, what it is. Okay, I'm gonna edit the inbound rules here. What I'm gonna do, obviously, I want port 80 to be enabled here, definitely HTTP, because I want everyone across everyone, right, to access this web server. It's a public internet facing, public access, right? So that's why I've given everyone the access here. This is the CIDR, which means everyone. Okay, public access, port 80 only allowed, port 80. That's all. Save rules. I'm gonna do. Okay, that's absolutely fine. I need to give that outgoing all protocols. Just perfectly fine here. Let's go to the security group of the EC2 instance which I have created. This is the EC2 instance security group which I have given SGLB EC2. What I'm going to do now, you only tell me in the inbound rules, right? I'm going to edit this inbound rules, and I don't want them to access on port 80. Definitely, I don't want them. Definitely. And port 22, that's fine, but even I don't want everyone to access. I'll just give my public IP here. Only I want, or I will give the some admin. What's my IP? Some admin to access these servers. Let's say only one IP I'm gonna give, right? Only one IP. That's all. Delete. Only one IP I'm gonna give here. This means only one IP. I'm the only one IP who can port 22. I don't want everyone also to port and port. They don't need to access the web server, right? But one very important thing, right? Port 80 I need. Who can access port 80, guys? Tell me one thing. I really want to give port 80, right? But I want what? Only the load balancer is accessible on port 80. Correct or not? Load, you want, right? Load balancer to rewrite the request here to this server. Yes or no? Guys, is this point clear? Load balancer has to will talk to the web servers on port 80 only, right? Load balancer. So the way we give is through this SG demo. I'm going to select, this is the load balancer security group. This is how I'm going to make sure that port 80 is allowed, but only the load balancer can access. The way to provide that, you need to provide the load balancer security group. The load balancer security group was SG demo, and that's why I have given this SG demo. I'm going to save this. That's all I need to do. And if I do this, this will be not be accessible now. Gone. I cannot access this page. That was expected. I don't need to. External users, do you hit Amazon one server? They provided you the server access? No, right? They have not provided. You can only hit the load balancer, the Amazon.com URL. That's all, right? Let's come back here to the load balancer. I'm gonna get the URL here. This is the URL of my load balancer, guys.
But one question, Roshan, you gave something in that one IP, right? So what is the use of that IP?
Only I can access. No, instead of 0.0, which means every IP, I give only my IP. Only I can.
Only you can access.
Yes, port 22. Only I can SSH.
Got it. Thanks.
Okay, I'm gonna use this load balancer URL here. Let me hit this URL. Guys, do you guys see that I have hit one server? Yes. Let's refresh this page. Oh, I'm hitting the second server also. Let's refresh this.
Each time it might go to anyone based on load balance.
It's gonna round robin, one by one. You can set that. Look at this, one by one. I have 3 servers, one by one. 40, 46, 47, 9, 34, 164. Again, same list. 40, 46, 47, 9, 34, 164. That's the nature of load balancer. It's not going to stress any particular server. It's gonna redirect the request equally. That's the role of a load balancer. And this is the load balancer URL. Guys, you understand how this load balancer is working? Look at this. Hit this. Okay, I'm gonna give this link to every one of you, and I want every one of you to access this link and confirm. Okay, let me make it private. Okay, I think I'm not selected up. Let me make it private. I think I selected to only one person. Let me give this. Did you guys get that? No, I think you're not getting it right. Let me just make sure that I'm sending to everyone. Your message. One has selected private. Okay, send to. Let me put everyone here. Everyone. Guys, please confirm now. Please access this link. I've sent this to everyone. Please access this link and confirm that yes, load balancer is in action and is working fine. Yes. Everyone. Kareem Sukumar has confirmed that. SB has confirmed that. Right? So my web servers could be anywhere, could be in any AZ. load balancer is going to work like that, right? That's one part of high availability, right? That's one part. But to have auto scaling group, we have to configure auto scaling group also, and we need to talk about auto scaling group. We need to create auto scaling group, right? And we need to talk about some sort of policies, right? You need to give some talk about CPU utilization and things like that, right? I think we can take this workshop some other time, right? Next time we're gonna meet, we're gonna talk about auto scaling group. I'm gonna show this to you guys. Right? Yeah. So that's all about today's workshop, guys. Yeah. Any questions I can answer you guys? Uh, okay. Just for your information, right? I'm coming up with a course here. Right. There are two courses. I'm coming up with a course of SRE, Site Reliability Engineer, and you can attend the demo on Tuesday. Okay. I can share that information. We will be sharing the information in the WhatsApp group. This is the one link. You can take this, and this is the SRE. I'm gonna paste this links. You can go over these links, guys, and look at this particular SRE. I'm coming up with these two courses. The name is different, but the approach is gonna be same. I'm gonna talk more about these courses on Tuesday. Gonna meet on Tuesday. The workshop, the free demo is there on Tuesday. You will be notified. Everyone will be notified. So yeah, you can join me on Tuesday.
Question, Roshan, is site reliability engineer. When
Yeah.
we say the roles and responsibilities, it's something like performance engineer will do that, or generally it's like a developer will do that.
Okay, the site reliability engineer role is some role which has come from this Google. Google has come up with this particular role here, right? And it can have any people can do that. People from DevOps background can do that. People from development background can do that. People from performance engineering background can do that, right? So they are the three backgrounds people are mostly go to become a site reliability engineer: DevOps background, performance background,
Okay.
right, and development background. So three background people are most likely to become a site reliability engineer, right? And if you go to LinkedIn, right, you will find a lot of opportunities nowadays about site reliability engineer. You can just check. If you check the roles and responsibility, you would feel like it looks like a DevOps, looks like a combination of DevOps, development, and performance. This is what it looks like, right? And that's what exactly it is, right? If you go to this particular thing here, let me just
based on the roles and responsibilities for the job they listed, then we can see and then go, because I'm hearing multiple definitions
right.
for the same.
Even if you look, it can confuse, because the roles and responsibility are different. Look at this. The opportunity wise, it's a huge responsibility. Okay, and trust me when I say site reliability engineer, to become a site reliability engineer, it is not that simple skill set. You need to know many more things. Okay, it's a journey. It's a journey to become SRE. It's not like within 1 month or 2 months you can just join a course. Yeah, that course would definitely act as a catalyst to get you speed up to reach your goal swiftly and in a much more efficient way. But SRE roles and responsibilities are huge.
There is no defined syllabus, right? I mean, syllabus in the sense it varies across the organizations what they follow. I mean, one guy says developer can follow that in one organization.
Exactly. So performance developer. See, that's why what we have given here, we are trying to give the Python courses as well, Python and Java courses as well. We are giving this. Right. Apart from that, we are giving self scripting as well, and apart from that, automation, talking about performance, talking about, and we're talking about monitoring. We're talking about so many things. So if you guys meet on Tuesday, you will get a better understanding of these roles and responsibility of SRE. You would understand better, right?
Okay, and also the performance engineering in cloud. That is how it is different, right? Again,
No,
it
I
is
have
different
clubbed.
course.
I have clubbed those two things. Okay, so if you are
Same
going,
day.
see, no, like, see, so there are more roles and responsibility added to SRE. Overall, I would say the 70% of the syllabus is same. 30% is gonna be more of the SRE. What is gonna be more? The development part, right? The development part and the automation part. These things I have not included in the cloud performance engineering, right? I have not included it, and the
Okay.
automation
Yeah.
part as well. I have not added the automation point as well, right? So if you exclude this, your performance engineering would be same, right? But for the
Okay.
SRE, these things are also required. So 70% of the course is going to be the same. So it depends on the person. Those who are looking to become a performance engineer, cloud performance engineer, they can go for that course. But mostly the course is going to be the same. We're going to give some more extra
Okay.
knowledge to the people who are joining SRE course. That's how it is.
If you take SRE, it is a subset of basically it is a superset of.
Superset of that, exactly. Absolutely.
Okay, got it.
You got that. Yeah.
Yeah. Just I mean, trying to know what we are going to attend.
Yeah,
on that. I mean,
yes.
even definitely I'm enrolling. I wanted to see
Okay.
how it is different.
Sure. We'll talk about it more on Tuesday, and you will get a better understanding. It's a very extensive course. Okay, it's gonna very extensive course.
Yeah.
We'll talk more about it. It's gonna be quite intensive course.
Definitely, I think you have that more knowledge as well to share us. So today's session is very good, really. I mean, we are just talking load balancer, but we have seen that insights of how it works exactly. Might be, yeah, we can find a lot of courses, but we are not exactly following that hands-on based on the job we are doing, right? So all these things varies. So yeah, we were not much into AWS. Might be myself because I was not into more looking at the performance end. But when we wanted to change roles, that's where we wanted to interest how it works.
Yeah.
How we need to see it.
Yeah, we need to the way the IT is transitioning, right? The most people are going to the cloud. If you're not in the cloud, you are basically behind. So that's how the trend is, right? If you go to any 100 companies, 90 people, 90 companies, you would find they are into cloud. Either they're AWS, Azure, or GCP. 10% of the company would be on premise, right? Infrastructure wise, going to be the same. But you need to understand cloud. If you want to undertake and consider many more companies, many more opportunities, cloud is the way. And we need to understand the cloud and other things as well, depending on the roles and responsibilities.
Yeah. Also, one thing is when we are a performance tester or engineer, I mean, engineer might be having additional responsibilities, but tester, I don't think we are going to work on the
See,
infrastructure
performance
like a
tester,
DevOps.
when you're performance tester, you're going to be sustained in the IT industry for 4 to 5 years. You cannot sustain in the IT industry for 20 years, 15 years, 20 years just being a tester. You
Tester.
will not be relevant.
Yeah, got it. Makes sense.
No one would ask to performance test from a 20 years guy, and you will not get the same salary, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Because the same task can be done by a 3-year guy. Why would they pay you more and ask you to do the same stuff?
More and then more experience not needed. Yeah, definitely.
Okay, so that's all.
Yeah.
We'll talk more about this course, okay, and that's where we need
Definitely.
to transition ourselves to be in a better suit, better placed. Okay, we'll talk more about the course on Tuesday. Okay? So thank you so
Sure,
much
sure.
for attending the session today. We'll meet on Tuesday. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, really. Thank you so much for this demo, and then really.
No problem. Thank you.
Have a good day.
Yeah, bye.
Thank you.